What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we'll be talking about Mars and Sagittarius and what it's like to have Mars and Sagittarius in your astrological natal chart. So, let's get into it. Before that, if you're interested in learning more about the planets, and I really go into Mars very well, feel free to check out my book, Astrology of the Matrix. The link will be below. It's available in print and PDF version. So, just contact me and we'll get you one. But Mars, what is Mars? Mars is our energy, our willpower, our drive. It shows how we go about obtaining the things that we want. It is our defense. And it is a layer of our desire nature, okay? So all of that is pertaining to our desires, how we fulfill them, all of that. Our personal defense, how we deal with anger, all of those things. Sagittarius, Jupiter rule sign, original sign of the ninth house, is a sign of higher learning, philosophy, teachings of the Father, okay, religion, culture, all of that good jazz. So when you get a Mars in Sagittarius, you got to know that Mars is naturally in its element, being in a fire sign. So here you have a motivated Mars, a Mars with a desire nature to go out and experience. They want to act. But unlike in Leo and Aries, this Mars has the potential to act with a lot more wisdom, okay? So in Aries, it's just acting to learn from its actions and go after what it wants, doesn't really know why. In Leo, it's going after it to express its sense of self or to help actualize the particular goal. In Sagittarius, Mars is motivated by the pursuit of truth. Whatever it is going after, there is a deeper meaning behind it or a need to understand the said thing that it wants to obtain. So one thing that I found through the years of working with others and particularly studying this Mars position is you got to keep in mind the fact that it is mutable. And when it comes to Mars, that mode is really going to determine how you go about things. And being that Mars is here in not a mutable sign, but this philosophically mutable sign, you got to know that, or the Mars and Sagittarius person, you are allowed to change. You are supposed to change. Change is what's going to get the different desires manifested. It's what's going to trigger the transformation. It's what's going to help you feel alive. So Mars and Sagittarius, more than any other sign, really doesn't live to stay the same. Now, how it go, and then the next layer of where how this plays out will be based on the house. So connected to this, I want to say that the Mars and Sagittarius person is rather easily influenced, but I feel like that won't do it justice because not necessarily in a social way. They're normally easily influenced would be like, oh, I'm looking for a sense of myself, so I'm going to go follow the crowd in order to do that. Mars in Sagittarius is influenced through things that play upon that innate desire for expansion or truth, okay? So what you can find with these individuals is that they latch on to friends, situations that fill the desire for the moment. All of this leading back to it being mutable. So whereas other signs may be easily influenced, assume that identity and completely run with it, Mars might just be influenced for the moment. Okay? So it might be a thing where literally I've seen this, and this happens even more if Pisces energy is involved. But literally, you're gonna have someone, and this could be a lot of mutable energies. But you're gonna have someone who can go. I'm gonna give the simple way it goes. Someone who goes from religion, being raised religious, being a complete Jesus lover, into coming into the astrological or spiritual space and really embracing that. Now, this can literally happen in the sense of 1 year they're a full devoted Catholic or Christian, and then the next year, maybe even 6 months, they're on to the next path. And let's just give this example and say that the person has Mars in the 11th. These are going to be, that influence comes through the 11th house and those different social networks, okay? And that influence that they're around. So, yeah, like this Mars is influenced rather quickly, okay? But doesn't necessarily stick with that influence. But it's the chief part in the exploration or the travel. So let's get to that next part, travel. So with I love astrology, and the way I try to show people astrology, I get them to understand is that, like, yo, if you have certain things within your chart, that is, you're here for this experience. Like, that's something in life you wanted to consistently tap into experience. For the Mars and Sagittarius person, you are meant to explore, particularly if your planets are above the horizon. But overall, these are individuals that should be traveling twice a year. So keep in mind, I'm a Gemini. I have Mars in Leo, and that desire to travel and move about is there for me, and I take advantage of it. Someone with a Mars and Sag, this is gonna, regardless of house, this is gonna be even more apparent. So how you tap it, what I have seen with this is that it can be an obstacle. So some people, let's say your Mars is in the 5th, right? Your idea or ideal may be wanting to travel with a partner or romantic trips, right? So or say you don't have a relationship, you still need to be using that or activating that energy, and therefore even going out on your own, taking a trip on your own, can lead you towards attracting the said relationship. So for Mars in Sag, movement, trips, and depending on the configurations of your other energies will definitely serve as an attraction center for you. Good things will come to you, or possibly even difficult situations come to you during travel or in moves, depending on, aspects and stuff like that. But it is something that brings the Mars peace of mind. Now, as you grow and evolve, the intent behind the trip or trips or vacation or the pursuits of pleasure, the pursuits of the desires tend to change with Mars and Sagittarius. So it goes from being very reckless, very pleasure oriented. Because remember, it's ruled by Jupiter. And when Jupiter's in the picture, it's like, more is better or bigger is better. So you can have early on a young Mars and Sagittarius that is the life of the party, that is, really swept up in the influence of their social crowd and just turning up. And then at some point, whether it be through mistakes, whether it be through whatever reactions or consequences occur, the person gets wiser. So I'm always out to tell people, like, find the balance between fun and play, or no, fun and work, or having fun and making wise decisions. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, you will need to make a mistake, or you're going to make a mistake in order for the wisdom to come. So, oh no, that's not for me. You know what I mean? So the beauty in the position is kind of that recklessness or that optimism to do and try. But at the same time, it's going to teach you certain stuff about yourself. Okay? So let's talk about, like, the moral compass of this mark. This is a big thing. So for this position, you'll really need to assess your early upbringing. What was the climate culturally? What was the climate religiously? Particularly, what was your father's orientation towards those things? What happens here is that Mars and Sagittarius can really become products of their environment. So, yeah, I guess it's almost like I do want to call them easily influenced. It's just a receptive sign. So culture is going to be big. depending on how this goes, you might have a Mars in Sag that goes away from embracing the culture, or you might have a Mars and Sag that needs that to guide them, and they actually, whether they are conscious or unconscious of it, are navigating through their life based on the moral compass that that was conditioned into them. This works for better or worse because you might be born into a family or a culture that doesn't necessarily place emphasis on your gender in a particular role. So I've literally seen stuff like this play out. Like, let's say a guy with a fourth house stellium, right, to go along with this Sagittarius Mars that loves cooking, that loves, they're just kind of naturally inclined towards designing and aesthetics, but they come from a culture that's like men are like hands-on and, they build stuff. They're not in the kitchen. So that thing for, let's say, that individual becomes one where it's in conflict. It's like, morally, I feel like I need to do this or whatever, but this is what I actually love. So then we get to the point where we want to get with Mars, which is the ability to become free from judgment, free from insecurities of others, or going against the grain. Freedom to expand and explore. Right now, say this is in the 8th house. Right, this might be a freedom in sexuality. Right, so maybe coming to grips of being bi, coming to grips of just liking the opposite sex or whatever, right? But there's a freedom there. There's a freedom wherever this is connected to. Let's say this Mars is in the 12th house, right? Your freedom is going to come through your ability to escape old environments that don't support your spiritual growth or where you're going, right? Or the freedom comes from embracing a certain type of spiritual lifestyle that has different effects upon you, right? So early on, we could be seeking the freedom in reckless ways, but through acquisition of wisdom and like the discipline of a philosophy, we become free through our actions and making wiser decisions and not being such a slave to desire. And I'm gonna add one more thing, just for those out there. And I've done a series about why zodiac signs cheaper. Mars and Sag is a serial cheater, man. Kind of reckless. They're kind of reckless, morally minded, but caught up in some shit. So that's some food for thought, all right? So it's my interpretation of Mars in Sagittarius. If you have this position, feel free to chime in. Let me know what you think. If you would like a reading, click the description link. Check out my website. Email me. We'll set something up. Until next time, peace.